So to whoever's listening to this video, apologize.
It's too late now. It's about to be 11:30.
It's not too late for me to apologize to the people who are now listening to this video. So whoever's listening to this video, apologize. I started the recording late. The good news is that where I'm starting on the slide, I actually covered in the previous video. So we should be kind of caught up over here. Um, so anyway, moving forward. I almost feel like I've said this before, but what is the financial intermediation process? Um, if you send me a check and it's from Chase and my bank account's with Citi, right? Or John, yours is with the Navy Federal Credit Union, and someone else's is with a different credit union. Um, that check has to pass through an intermediation process. In other words, the Navy Credit Union can't look into Citi, and Citi can't look into the Navy Credit Union, and there has to be assurance that the check that John has written, let's say that he's buying a house and the mortgage is held. Well, normally there's a finance firm that writes the first part, and almost every mortgage is sold to another bank, usually a bigger bank, because they want good debt. And so if John is a good payer, they're like, we want that debt. And so eventually, even if you bought the house through Navy Credit Union, they're going to sell your mortgage to another bank anyway. So let's say, and Chase holds a lot of mortgage debts. So let's say it goes to Chase. Well, every time you send money in, and I'm using check as a physical manifestation from your Navy Credit Union, the money coming out of your Navy Credit Union account then has to be transferred into Chase Bank. And since Chase has no control over Navy Credit Union and vice versa, it has to go through an intermediation. And intermediation is through a company like DTCC, which is Depository Trust, which, by the way, if you get a job there, most people don't leave. And usually you start your salary is between 75 and 85. I actually had a student whose uncle worked there, and he had been there so long that when he started, he didn't even have a college education. And there are people who manage operations and training, and it's one of these businesses where it's inside and there's no windows. So it's a small, happy bunch of people, and the only customers they have are the banks. And so the Depository Trust Corp, and actually they have an office downtown, they have an office in Jersey City, and there are other companies like it. Um, they're responsible for making sure that the money that is in depository trust, and so you can imagine how much trust is involved in this, hence the term trust inside the name of their company. The money is in Navy Credit Union, and that it gets transferred into Chase. They literally have visibility into both. So you're asking, this is a huge trust factor because Chase doesn't want Navy Federal to be able to see what they have on their books, and Chase doesn't, and Federal Navy Credit Union doesn't want Chase looking into their bank. So it's this intermediary in the middle that actually manages process. And that's why sometimes if you get a paycheck from a company, and especially if it's a different bank, you may see the letter in your mail, like maybe it's the blank check that doesn't have money on it, or something pings your email, and then you go check your account and it's not there. It used to take an entire week before it showed up in your bank account, because especially if it came from California, they were literally transferring paper documents across the country. And now, of course, it's digital, but then just to reconcile, DTCC would check the bank. They were like, yes, the money's there. It's actually transferred. Okay, we're now transferring it into Chase. Let's make sure it got into Chase. Yes, it transferred into Chase. Okay, Chase, you can now acknowledge that it's there. Now put that money into the account. For instance, if it's a paycheck, you can now transfer money out of your account into that individual's paycheck account. Or you can transfer money out of the Chase account that takes the cash in, now transfer it into the mortgage side of the bank. It would take a whole week. And now they're able to do it within 24 to 48 hours. So when you say, "Oh yeah, we paid you today," it's Monday, and it says, "Well, I don't see them in my account." It's because they're going through this transaction of checking on both sides to make sure things are happening properly, and then maybe 24 to 48 hours later, it shows up in your account. So that's what and it has to happen because there has to be assurance. And if you study finance, it's not in this class. It's called float. Float is the time value of money. And I almost remember saying this. If you're paying a bill, like you get the bill on the first of the month, and they say the bill is due by the 30th. Now, pay the bill and pay the bill however it makes you comfortable. But big businesses will wait until maybe the 28th. If the month ends on the 30th, they'll wait till the 28th. Because during that time, let's say the bill is $1 million, right? And there are businesses with bills that are $1 million. I'm going to put that $1 million into an account and draw interest off that money. Why would I give you that $1 million on the first when I can make money off that money? That's what's referred to as time value of money. Over this period of time, it's worth this much money, right? Meanwhile, the other side is saying, if you give us $1 million, we can make money on that. But the only legal responsibility you have is to get the bill paid by the 30th, right? So that's beyond this class, because now we're talking about the intricacies of finance and how they hold on to money as long as they can, because you can make money off of money. Right. So we know what finance companies. What about non-depository financial institutions? Well, an insurance company is a non-depository financial company, right? Um, this isn't a company that you draw checks off of and things like that. Now, eventually, you're going to use that money, whether it's health insurance, fire and hazard, life insurance. Now, annuities will actually pay you money, but it's after a period of time. So a lot of you are very young, and if you decide that, you know what, when I get old, I'm going to depend on the value of my property, my real estate, or I'm going to invest aggressively in stock. And when I get older, I'm going to transfer it into stock that pays dividends. Like right now, Verizon, 3M, and I can't think of the other one, but these are like there's always rankings. And what that means is it may pay $1, $2, $6 per share. But let's say you're 20 years old and you're going to work until you're 60 and you're buying shares of this stock, like you're buying like maybe Apple and Amazon and Google, and those stocks are trading in the $100 range, the Metas and the Microsofts, and even Berkshire Class B is trading at 300 a share. Whatever, you're going to trade aggressive because you're like, I believe these companies are going to grow and my money's going to grow with it. But you're like, I'm also going to invest in an annuity, and over time, it's going to become bigger and bigger. And like I said, at 100,000, it'll pay between 1,000 and 1,300 a month, and 200,000, a quarter million. You can imagine it doubles or whatever. But if you're doing it over time, the stake in the company, basically the amount of shares you have, will grow. And you're like, I'm going to use an annuity when I retire. I'm going to use a dividend when I retire. I'm going to use an investment property when I retire. Whatever it is, right? You're planning for your future. And maybe you create this in a way that, and of course, life insurance. So when you die, your children have something to fall back on, including all these shares of stock and annuities and stuff like that, and pension funds, and life insurance funds. They'll pay off to your family. So however you choose to do it. But insurance is also a place where money goes, and it's a non-depository, but it is a financial institution. I've already explained the FDIC. What are the major deposit insurance funds? Let me come back to that. What can FDIC do to help financially troubled banks? So this is an interesting one. So when a bank gets in trouble, they can completely fold, and then you've got a problem, because if the depositors have more than $250,000, they could potentially lose all their money, because it literally says, you have agreed that we are only responsible up to this amount, and the federal government protects you. What the FDIC can come in and say, and they'll audit the banks and say, for instance, you have to hold 20% in assets, in financial assets. What do I mean? Let's say the bank has $100 billion and they make money by loaning money out, investing money, things like that. And because it creates more money, it goes back in the bank and it grows the value of the bank. The people in the bank make money. This is why bankers are so rich, because all these fees and their work actually makes, they're investing money properly to make it grow and stuff like that. And when people need to take a loan out, they need to have the money to be able to loan it. That's why they'll pay higher interest on a CD, because they want you to leave your money in the bank long enough that it can actually create opportunity for the bank to loan more money out. Now, when Silicon Valley Bank got in trouble, they loaned more than 20%, and they loaned more than 80%. The amount of money they had in the bank was down closer to 10%. And when people started getting panicky, there's potential recession. Banks were starting to increase interest rates. There was a lot of concern about the strength of them. And so all of a sudden, these wealthy people said, I'm taking my money out. And as they started taking their money out, here's the problem, right? They were supposed to hold 20%. And in some cases, they had aggressive bonds in there that were supposed to pay low interest rates. They didn't have enough money to pay back. Remember, 20%, 100% of the money is the money that the depositors have in there. So that means they, at best, they had 20%. And in this case, they had 10. And the monies that they had were bonds that were not easy to sell. In other words, they said, we're going to sell our bonds up. And people are like, I'm not buying that bond because the interest rates are not aggressive enough for me. So they had to increase the interest rate. But by increasing the interest rate, they're saying, and we're going to pay you more money when they mature. Well, you don't have the money to pay the depositors right now. And so people freaked out. And so literally federal government started making these phone calls. The FDIC comes in and says, we will protect everyone up to 250. And then they said, well, we don't go higher than that. And what the FDIC should have done was catch this before it happened. And what they could have done is say, okay, you got to hold more money because you're exposed and the economy is going bad. So you got to raise it to 30%, right? Because if you want us to insure you, you got to do what we say. The next thing is, okay, you're not doing so good. We're going to take your bank and we're going to bring them together. Or the FDIC's, we're going to, it's called receivership. We're taking over your bank, right? You people don't know what the hell you're doing. So we're going to run this bank until we get it back on its feet. Or we're going to run this bank to a point where it's attractive enough, and then a bigger bank will take over. Or we're going to take this bank and we're going to bring them together and create one bank. And that's the role of the FDIC, is to audit and monitor and make sure they're doing things legally correct and competently, right? You could be doing things legally correct. If you're into football, a week ago, Miami decided to run the ball instead of taking a knee, and Georgia Tech picked up the ball and ran for a touchdown. And the guy, that's not, they didn't do anything legally wrong. They didn't do anything incorrect. They didn't get a foul, but the guy is completely incompetent. He got the brain.
I agree. Yeah.
He's got the brain of a brick. And if you had bet on that game, I bet you, I promise you, someone was sitting outside his house. I promise you, because people those games. When people do things and it's like, can't you think? That's incompetence. And the FDIC they're part of their responsibility is going there and says, yes, you've done everything you're supposed to do, but you got the brain of a brick, right? You don't know how to be competent. That's their job. They go in there and audit to make sure not only are you legally doing things right, but are you doing things competently? Can't you see the direction of the market? Why are you putting these aggressive securities instruments out there, knowing that you've got nothing but very wealthy people in this small bank who could easily turn and say, we want our money back. And they did. They're like, we're putting our money in the city. We're putting our money in the Chase, right? We don't have the same relationship, but at least it's safe. Because remember, it's all about the risk. It's all about the risk, right? All right, so that's what they can do. And the biggest, why do I feel like I saw this already? Anyway, so here's the biggest banks in the world. For a long time, they used to be Japan and Germany, and the US couldn't compete. So if there was a big company, a multinational that said, we need to raise $1 billion, $50 billion, and one small bank said the risk is too much for us, but if they were bigger. So this is, if you go back to the 90s, the deregulation of the financial industry, and then the Glass-Steagall Act. And the idea was that under the Reagan administration, the banks could, savings and loans, which basically gave out mortgages and loans, and, for cars and homes and schools and stuff like that, and checking accounts and maybe a credit card, but they weren't involved in investment. Like Zuckerberg wouldn't go to a savings and loan to raise $500 million to invest in a startup of a company. That's kind of like what a venture capital is. And back then, they didn't even have venture capitalists like we do today, or angel fund or equity firm. But then when they deregulated, they allowed savings and loans to merge with investment companies. And they did it because of pressure from banks in Asia and banks in Europe. They had to get bigger to be able to compete on a higher level. And so that's why now you see American banks are part of these big banks as well, right? Mitsubishi used to be way up here at the top, and so you see all these others. And of course, China is growing leaps and bounds because that's their growth industry, is the services sector. And I know I said this. I asked you guys, how does international banking work? It's the commercial bank, and when you buy something, I think I talked to you guys about one
Yeah.
company put something and then the ship sank. Okay, good, we covered
Yeah.
it. And then what do they face in the foreign markets? Well, the devaluation of currencies when you're trading currencies. Banks also hold foreign currencies in their banks. And if those currencies move up and down, and also when they freeze assets, like we've frozen assets in what is it? Iran. We've frozen assets in North Korea, places like that. You cannot tell a foreign country what they can and can't do with the businesses within the borders of their country. You just can't, right? So, so inflation, volatility of currencies, because they're dealing with these international currencies when they trade it for dollars and back and forth. Like, how many rubles do you want to hold? Nobody wants to hold a ruble. And I don't mean because they don't like Russia politically. It's because the ruble, the volatility of the currency is ridiculous. The real in Iran, the bolivar in Venezuela. That's why people are escaping Venezuela, because it's in 1,000% inflation. You think we have problems with it? Imagine if the price of eggs was $50 a carton, right? The inflation is ridiculous down there, right? But we do business there, and what they've decided to do is only sell, because they have oil. They only trade oil in the U.S. dollar. Hong Kong used to be fixed to the dollar. The Hong Kong dollar used to be fixed to the dollar. When the dollar went up, their dollar went up. When the dollar went down, they went down. But they had no control. And now it's part of the RPC, the People's PRC, the People's Republic of China, which has the yuan. But most countries with oil will deal in dollars. And by the way, it's the Federal Reserve Bank number 2, which happens to be in Lower Manhattan. So the Federal Reserve down in Lower Manhattan actually manages most oil dollars. Right, and every kind of where he explains fintech. So, all right, let's do the class picture because I know I'm late. I apologize. And I know that some of you may have questions and need to hang out tight towards the end of the class. So I. Did anybody?
Oh.
I don't know why I muted like that. That was weird. I went to Comic-Con and I met one of the original actors from The Warriors. So when you
Oh,
hear
wow.
the team say Warriors,
Oh, my God.
it was this movie, and the Warriors were supposed to be in Coney Island. So this was
Yeah.
actually, and then when Shaquille says, "Are you not entertained?" That's from
Yeah.
this movie. So I went,
Yeah.
I saw them, and you guys are too young, but as a kid, I used to watch Good Times, and so I
I
met the
remember Good
actors.
Times.
I met the actors, and well, some of them are dead, like the older people in it. But anyway, so I'm going to use this one for my class today, since everybody,
That's funny.
Warriors come out to play. Let's see, Martin looks like he has a phone. Quinn has her new hairstyle. John has some kind of fizzy beverage. Anthony, I don't know what that is in your hand. What is that? And Christina has some chips. And Miracle has velvet petal. Oh, Victoria's Secrets. Oh, I guess that's like a lotion. Zinni has, am I saying you're right? Zinni, right? Or Zinni? Okay, so water. Matthew has, oh, that was good. I swear to God, Matthew, you got me there. That was good. Brian looks like has a piece of paper. I don't know what that is. Anita, are you there? Ryan, are you there? What do you have, Matthew? Oh, the thing for your earbuds. Ryan, Ambra, Ashley, please, we want to see your beautiful faces. Nicole, we see something on the wall. And Harlan has his amazing glasses. And Quinn has, I don't think that's nail polish. I don't know what that is. What do you got, Quinn?
It's foundation.
Oh, it's, yes, you know, I often, no, I don't use foundation. Now at Comic-Con, a lot of men had foundation on. That's pretty good. I love it. Most of our men is like foundation. Oh, not sure what that is. Oh, and Anna has a bottle of water. Very cool. Thank you very much. Is everybody ready? So
Yep.
I'm using my Warriors. So, oh, and Ariana has, I don't know what that is. Is that tea? I think it's tea. All right.
It's shampoo.
Oh, it's shampoo. She's trying to tell me something. All right, so on three, 1, 2, 3. Got it. So please remember to do the survey. If you need to talk to me, hang tight. I'll talk to you. So I've done finance. That means that I will probably wind up turning on the second quiz, and I will give you an announcement. I'll do it. I'll wait till Wednesday's class to let you know, but I will be turning on because it's only covering accounting and finance. So it's short number of chapters, but obviously very important. It's the numbers chapters. So let me make sure I grab the picture before I lose it. Pose. And if you haven't selected your company, please email me. And if you did, and it was Tuesday, I apologize. I will go in there and go back to Tuesday. I thought I had somehow I started looking on Wednesday and I didn't go further. Attendance, ATT. Oh my God, there's so much to do. Attendance. And by the way, I forget if it was Quinn or Zinni, but I started hanging flowers upside down. They're over there, but I think that one of you told me it was a worthless, useless cause because they were already dead. So I'm probably going to throw them away and start over. I've learned my lesson. I'm only a man. I know my limitations. All right. So, all right. So if yeah, I'll wait till Wednesday just in case if it was anything I forgot to cover. I think I covered everything. Actually, no. On Wednesday I'll talk about bonds. I didn't talk about bonds.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'll talk about bonds on Wednesday because it's basically a loan, but long term, and usually cities, companies. These are big numbers that we're talking. It's not a house loan. It's not a. They're big. You could take a bond out for an entire building, and it's fascinating if you're into commercial real estate.
Yeah.
Great way to make money.
Hey, Professor, I had a question about the discussion board.
So is this something you need to talk to me about yourself, or is it okay for the rest of the class to hear it?
Yeah, it's fine. It's
All
on the
right.
discussion board. So
Sure.
it says something commercial analysis. And
oh, that's an extra credit.
okay, but there's
It's a
no
market.
description.
Right, it's for marketing. So it won't be until after, like when we finish this and we do the quiz, we're now moving to marketing, which is another one that's on where we did accounting and finance. The next quiz is only on marketing because in some of the books there are 3 chapters. So when I say commercial analysis, it's like a TV advertisement. So I have to decide which one I put it in, but I have to teach you how to analyze a commercial. And then once you know that, if you want, you can do the extra credit and analyze a commercial.
Okay. And then for the last one, it was for the project itself. So the project, it doesn't have a description on exactly what we're supposed to do. Is that coming up or?
Yeah, because this is why in the announcement I say get to know your company in the background. There's going to be sections or parts because they changed it. It used to be groups and now it's individuals. So in part, some of this I'm having to adjust because I was used to working with you as groups and you would do progress reports and do the final. And now they want students to do it as individual projects. So I need to first make sure everybody got one because I've never had to have that many companies. I usually have 5 companies. So it's,
Gotcha.
and I have 3 different classes doing the same thing. So it's going to be a nightmare for me. But yeah, I think in there it says stay tuned. There's more coming. So yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything because I have a habit of missing stuff.
No.
And then it's too late. Yeah.
No, not yet. I want you to, I mean, like I put in there, I think, figure out, I would start looking at, not if you know how to use yahoo.com/finance, there's even history information in there, but depending on what company you have, what does the company do? Where are they headquartered? What's the industry? Who buys from them? What are the markets? How much money are they making? these are kind of things that you can search for almost right away, find out information about. So you actually have a really interesting and very good company. They compete against Intel. They're run by a woman who I went to high school at Bronx Science, which is interesting considering most tech companies are run by men, and they compete differently than Intel. They're actually a fascinating company, and there's tremendous demand for their product because you have processors in cars, processors in computers, processors in Game Boys, processors in phones, and there's just it's just blowing up. It's a fascinating company.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, that's the only questions I had.
no problem. So,
All right.
John, Adiana, and Ashley, you guys have questions?
Hi,
No.
Professor.
Ashley, you have a question?
See you Wednesday.
Okay, bye, John. So, Ashley, what were you saying?
Oh, so I didn't have a question.
Oh, you do not?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
No, I don't.
Really? Okay. I thought you were going to ask me what foundation I use. Ah, just kidding.
No.
Now I see your picture. Why were you hiding? Oh my God. I swear to God. Here, I'm trying to do the attendance. Yeah, your face, I don't have it up, but you didn't have your picture on when I did the attendance.
I didn't have my camera off. I had it on off the entire time. Sorry.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man.
Because I'm liking the little bun action here going on up there. Uh-huh.
Thank you.
I think you should put some holiday lights in there, and I can't help it. I was
Halloween.
Comic-Con. Everything was different. You know how it is. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man. That's true.
I know. So everything good?
Yeah, everything's pretty good. Oh,
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you from last week.
What?
Remember when that girl was just like, that inappropriate words should not be allowed or whatever?
Yeah.
That's when I had said, that's when you had gave me that example with the ski mask and stuff like that.
Okay, gonna remind. I can't remember.
And then I was just like, oh, you probably not gonna remember, but I was just like, oh, that when we was talking about I give you the money or whatever, and then you get your product, or it was like
Right.
the other way around, something like that.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that I don't trust you or whatever.
Right.
And I said something about like ass or whatever, like the word slipped out. So she was talking about me. And I feel like
Wait a minute. I still don't understand. What word? What app?
I said ass. Yeah. I was like, oh, to save both our asses or whatever with the product that we're selling.
Oh.
Yeah. She was talking about me.
That's okay. Yeah.
But I kind of feel the type of way because it's just like everybody else be cursing and she didn't say nothing about anybody else. All of a sudden not, because I said the word and I rarely talk in this class. It seems to be a problem.
And you can see, well, I don't know if I wrote her or everybody, but I actually want you to talk more. And so, okay, so that's weird.
Yeah.
This, oh God, this is why I don't teach high school.
This is not even high school.
No. Here, feel me. Hear what I'm gonna say. I don't teach high school for this, and also for I don't like parents. It's not I don't like people, because parents are like, my child's an angel and they're a genius. And in my mind, and when I turn the camera off or I leave the classroom, I'm not gonna say what I think, because some of them, a lot of them are not angels and a lot of them are not geniuses, but
yeah, I know.
You can't say that to the parent.
Yeah. They're always coming for their child. I know, because I'm kind of working after school and I'm dealing with kids and parents and stuff like that. So I get it.
I can't do parents, man. I've taught some college now classes and had them approach me, and it's like, hi, Professor so and so. I know you're busy, but, and then they go into I say, I'm sorry, you have to contact the director. I probably in the beginning even said, I don't do parents, sorry. I had a woman follow me to a class one time. She says, my student, he didn't get a good grade, and I know he has a really high IQ. I said, ma'am, I'm gonna need you to stop, go down the hall and go talk to the director. And I go to the director and say, you're going to have to stop them from coming at me, okay? Because I control my temper, but I'm going to be honest. My moon is in Sagittarius. The Cancer in me wants to be a teacher, but the Sagittarius, we have no filters. And I'm going to say something. I'm going to embarrass this parent, and they're going to come back to you and say, I did a bad thing. And so before that happens, make them walk go away. I talk to you. So what I mean by that, what I say that this reminds me is because like in the spring,
Mhm.
depending on when your birthday is.
October. My birthday is next week, Saturday.
Well, see, my natural inclination is to say I need to give you a hug, and apparently in the East Coast and the West Coast and the big cities, that's inappropriate. So it's a handshake, you know, and I feel so artificial about that. That's not who my mother's from the South, you know.
Yeah.
My father's side of the family's from Europe. Hell, the
Mhm.
men even kiss each other on both cheeks. I dated a girl once, and we kissed, and she said, "Oh, you're gay." I'm like, what? What? Just like when you said what you said just now, I'm like, okay, I never picked that up because I said, let me. So I had a student. Happy birthday! Wait a minute.
Thank
Next week, what day? What day?
The 28th.
You're a Scorpio.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get along fine because I was born in
Yeah.
59.
I know when I heard you say Cancer, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I know, Stu. I know all the good and the bad about you. Everybody thinks that you're difficult, and they say, no, they're not. If she says the Earth spins the other way around, she's so confident that even if it's obviously wrong, I'm surprised Kyrie Irving's not because he's an Aries, but he's like the Earth is flat, and I was like, I wonder if he's a Scorpio because I can see an Aries saying something like that. I mean, a Scorpio saying something like that, and I'm like, just leave them alone. They believe what they believe. Stop making it an issue out of this. It's not hurting you. And they're the most honest people in the world. And they're super, super, because Scorpios almost sometimes will come out quiet inside, but they have no lack of confidence. And here's the thing, if you say a lot of things, they will remember everything. If you're dating a Scorpio and you're like trying to get the upper hand and say, do you remember when you took that money from my purse or you showed up late to the date? Or you were talking to that girl way too long. Say, oh my God, you remember that? It's like, I remember everything.
That's me.
Everything. But Bill Gates, Scorpio.
Yeah, I know. He's
Ted
crazy
Turner,
though.
Ted Turner, Scorpio.
Really? I didn't know that.
You want to talk about stubborn and says what they feel like? Hillary Clinton, Scorpio. Some of the richest, most profound people in the world are Scorpios. So you want to mess with them and piss them off, you may be messing with an opportunity because they'll probably be the first one to back you up if they believe in you.
That's true.
So don't be so short-sighted that you miss the big picture. So in the spring, I had depending on your birthday, I had a student who was 17 and the most immature person in the classroom. It was this class, but in the spring.
Yeah.
So sometimes I get like, I think we have a couple of 30-year-olds in the class, and at least one has children. But you have these really young people, and that's what I'm saying. It reminds me of why I don't teach high schools, because the other point I was going to make is I'm TESOL certified, teaching English as a second language.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they used to make everybody speak the same way. Now, if you're in the South and you say y'all, and you come off sounding like someone from New England, you're not going to build a good relationship. So they said you have to speak in a way that is commonly accepted in that particular area. So
Okay.
if I'm an adult saying, you know, I bet my ass on this that I'm going to win. You didn't call someone a bad name. As a matter of fact, that word, if you want to be technical about it, the meaning of ass is a donkey.
Yeah.
If you look it up, it's donkey. Just like the B word that you don't want to use with a woman.
It's a dog. Yeah.
Is a female dog.
Yeah.
So sometimes people they're so narrowly focused that they lose the big picture. And when it's one thing that says you're an ass for saying that, even if it means donkey, you don't want to call another person an ass. But that's not what you meant. That's not what you said. And my concern in those circumstances is, look, I've got to respect that person because, you know, maybe they're very religious or maybe they come from a very strict household. But my big concern is, did you understand the point we were making? Did you get so hung up on the word that you missed the lesson? And if you missed the lesson, if I was an individual, I'd be more concerned that we didn't learn
anything
coming to this school. Right.
Yeah.
So,
but my thing is, like, John and everybody else, they be especially John. He be cursing up a storm talking to you, and no one said anything. But
Well,
the minute I say one 3-letter word, it's a problem.
Well, when I asked her, because she wrote me an email, I said, "Can you tell me who it is?" And I'll speak to him. She says, "I can't remember." So she doesn't even remember that it was you. Because here's the other thing I said to her. I said, "I got to be careful." I said, "What you're saying is appropriate, and overall, we have to be careful with our language because there's all kinds of people."
No, I get that, but I felt like it was
No, no,
kind
no,
of
no.
weird that everybody else.
I'm not.
No?
I hope you understand that I normally teach seniors in college and grad students.
Mhm.
You're the youngest group of people that I teach. And I absolutely don't teach high school. And I, for this reason, because now I have to understand that I could potentially have a 17-year-old in the class. But if I'm teaching seniors, especially at Baruch, I had grandparents in there and grad students, they're out in the world working.
Yeah.
This is cursing. So so please understand that I understand where you're coming from, and it's not
Mhm.
even non-curses. What you're telling me is that this is a common. This is why I tell you about Tessel and teaching English as a second language. If
Mhm.
we were in the South, they probably would like ma'am and no ma'am. You know,
Yeah.
that's weird. And some of the high school students that come into BMCC, apparently in high school they say Mr. and Miss, and I would tell people,
Yeah, I'd be like, Mister.
which I've never heard before in my life, and it's really off-putting to me. I'm like, look, you can call me a lot of things, but don't call me Mister. It's almost like you forgot my name. Just call me Professor. It's totally, it's so quick and easy.
I mean,
But
I don't know. You find that a lot in like high school. They'd be like, "Oh, Mister." I feel like you'll
I
hear
don't teach
more
high
Mister.
school, and that's the thing. If I taught it, then probably I would be used to it. But here's the other part that I have to be careful with. We're in an online class, and I
Yeah.
said to her, it's very possible that whoever said it may not have been the person to say it. Like I've seen situations where there was a student on a train walking down the block,
Mhm.
and what if somebody's behind you is basically screaming, and you're picking it up?
Yeah.
So we got to say you got to be careful when you judge people. The other thing is, I said, but on the other hand, I've had situations where I've had young mothers and their kids are in the room. So I have to kind of, because I've got to kind of play both sides of this whole thing
Yeah.
about it. So, and to be honest, you keep referring back to John, and John does talk a lot. And this is because I'm a grown ass man. I honestly can't remember because it just goes over my head because
Yeah.
I there's like F bombs is bad, right? Dropping the
Yeah.
B
I was
word.
never.
I've been to Australia, and the C word when you refer to a woman is acceptable there.
Really?
See.
That's bad.
Well, wait a minute. This is the point. What we accept isn't necessarily what they accept. And when I was thinking about the pandemic, I had students in Eastern Europe, in South Korea. I could very easily in this class have a student who's decided to attend BMCC, but be with their family in Australia and drop the C word, not realizing that it's inappropriate in America. What you're saying is normally appropriate, especially as you get in older, like into your senior college, etc., because it's common language in New York City.
Yeah.
But then there are words that if this was the same class in Australia, they'd be dropping the C word. And what you refer to as sad is because it's not appropriate in New York. And that's my point. So we have to not only be careful about who's around, because
For what we
the
say.
cameras are off, they could be children sitting in these places, right?
Yeah.
And they have been. On the other hand, you could be walking down the street and someone walks past you and say, you, and it's like, Professor, we can't have that bad language. I'm sorry. But she was walking down the street. She cannot control people walking down. And I can't tell her to, you can't walk down the street on your way to your job. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
that student who said that to you, if you remember, was carrying a laptop walking down the street and walked into a restaurant. So the very
That'd be crazy.
right. So this is where it can, and the younger people are, the more they kind of lock into their position. And I got to say, just think about all the circumstances. What is commonly accepted in your group may not be, and I have to respect you for that.
Of course.
I had a student this the fall. No, the fall of 2019, just before the pandemic.
Mhm.
I've had a lot of students with health concerns. By the way, I had a student that threatened to kill another student. I had to take him to the dean of student affairs. That would be considered extreme. It was a man versus a female too, and it turns out they had a record on him. He was from Russia, and I learned that Russians respect people who are aggressive. I said, I appreciate that. We're not in Russia. You're going to have to work like an American. And when you go back to Russia,
Like,
you can
what
go
you
ahead and
thought that-
threaten people with a glass of vodka in your hand. But this is not Russia. So,
Yeah.
and Asian students will talk around in a big circle and never get to the point. And I said, look, I
Mhm.
appreciate that, but I don't have the time to figure out what you meant when you said what you said, when you meant what you meant. We're in
Yeah.
America. You got to kind of come right between them and right in the middle, especially in New York. Because if you're
Mhm.
successful in America at a job, they're not going to put up with that. And there's a bunch of others. But anyway, in 2019, I had a student, and I've had several come up to me, but this was probably the most extreme. She had gone to BMCC, and her dream was to finish her four-year college degree.
Okay.
Her tuition was paid by Make-A-Wish Foundation, and she was
Ah.
dying. She was dying. She was dying, like not metaphorically. She was literally dying, and she was turning yellow. And she had to come to me because we were always talked to her, and we have to maintain their privacy. My point being, I have so many different people coming from so many different points of view with so many things going on. And actually, she was a grandmother, and one of the people in her group was getting over breast cancer. And they wound up in this group, and they were both Chinese. And I've never seen this happen, but they got catty and they got into a girl fight, two Chinese old grandmothers. And I had to stand between them. And I'm like, oh, hell no, we're not doing this in my class. I mean,
Oh no.
first of all, Asian people are like you see Quinn, they're so like respectful and stuff. That's just their culture. And they're fighting, and one is dying and the other just got over breast cancer. What the hell?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Right. So the person, I mean, if we could just get around the fact that, hey, look, we're all different. All we got to do is like each other respect each other for like 13 to 16 weeks. And then you go back to your life, So,
yeah, of course.
But, so I wrote her an email and I said, let's make sure we consider all possible factors here. I said, I respect your position. I understand where you're coming from. But you have to be careful. So in the future, if you can just say, hey, let's be careful with the language. And if you happen to know the person, a message, because she shouldn't have done it generally. She should have done it by myself. Then I can go to the person and say what's going on, and then we'll squash it. Like, I'm not aware that John is dropping curse words all over, because I guess he is, but it's just going over my head because I'm a grown man and I deal.
And you're not thinking of it, and that's not the topic of the class, so it's like it don't really matter.
So, but I want you to keep talking, and so next time, I even get to what you said. So say kick my butt, and then I'm gonna start laughing because I'm gonna know exactly what you mean. Because in my mind, because remember, I've already given you a hard time many times in the class. I treat everybody equal, but in my mind, I'm gonna think. And it's so funny, your name starts with Ashley. But anyway, so in my mind, I'm thinking, you're saying, when you say kick my butt, you're saying she's an and
my God.
I'm going to lose it. I'm going to crack the hell up. I'm going to crack up. So your birthday is next Wednesday?
No, Saturday.
Oh, okay, because I was going to make a big deal of it. It's like, because they're like, wait a minute, she's the one that cares. I say, so? I can't say happy birthday.
Yeah.
See, I could be really kind of squirrely that way. It's like, you're not going to judge me for saying something nice to someone because it's their birthday.
You better not.
Well, no, but professor, it's like, I don't know your birthday. When's yours? Well, it was last month. You should have told me. But I didn't, because we have student in the class who's constantly saying, she sent me an email on Saturday. You can guess which student this is. And then she waited 37 hours and said, I didn't get a response. And I wrote back, well, normally professors have personalized over the weekend.
Yeah. Oh
And
my
then,
god.
oh, I found it. I see now. And I don't like this company. It's like, it's not my fault that you don't know how to use Blackboard. I can't teach you that too.
Yeah. That's not my job.
Uh-uh.
Of course not.
So,
Oh,
all right.
man.
So I don't know where you are, but it's like you're going.
I'm going
to
to I'm going to work right now. I have to get something.
Where you work?
I work at after school one PS 160, Hutchinson Parkway.
PS 160 where?
Hutchinson Parkway.
Is that north of the city? Hutchinson Parkway.
Well, no, it's not like in the city. It's in the Bronx.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You live in the Bronx?
Yeah.
All right, gotta remember this. So Ashley the Scorpio, who likes to drop the A word, lives in the Bronx. Now we're lucky that's all you say. I mean, come on. Depends on what part of the Bronx. If you're in Bronxville, even the wealthy people curse the most. So
They definitely do.
mhm. And they don't care if anybody knows about it. It's like, what are you gonna do?
Yep.
And not come
Yep.
into my big expensive house and get in my big expensive car?
Ridiculous.
I know. Well,
Tell me.
actually, you can call me and talk to me anytime you want. And if you have to drop an A word or whatever, I'm totally chill with it. I think your phone froze because you're frozen.
Oh, hold on. Let me turn on my Wi-Fi. Okay. I should be good now. Can you hear me?
I hear you great. I hear you great.
Okay.
Yes. I see your bun in the sky.
Yeah.
Bun in the sky keeps on going. Anyway,
Oh my gosh.
it's a Journey song before your time.
Yeah, I can tell. I don't know what song that
That's
is.
great. That's great. Yeah, same to you too. Anyway, when were you born?
I was born here in the Bronx. My mom and my
Oh,
dad's
really?
Jamaican though. They was born in Kingston.
No, the year.
Oh, 2004.
Oh my God, 2004. Wait a minute. Those shoes are 2000. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure I own something that's from 2004
Oh wow.
because
That's-
you're like 19 years old. What?
Yeah, I turned 19.
Yeah,
18.
oh, you're 18 going on 19. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have to be careful because some of this stuff when my mom died, I inherited, so I can't count that because that's not. I didn't buy it, but I'm looking for something that I've owned since. This. When I used to work overseas, I found this in Holland because it's silver. It's my silver.
Oh, got
bag.
you, got you.
I bought this in like 2002, 2003, 2004 timeframe. So
Oh.
I'm gonna now name this bag. You know what I'm gonna name it?
What? I'm scared.
No, you're not. I'm gonna name it Ashley.
Oh my
Hey, this bag is cool. It's tough. It's made out. I don't know what this material is, but you know.
gosh. Yeah, it looks like it's good material. And since you had it since 2004, and you had it since then,
I know.
yeah, it's a good material.
And this bag's heard a lot of curse words. You know, this bag has been Thailand, Philippines, India, England, Holland. Of course, I bought it there. This bag is. I think I took this to Zimbabwe 2 years ago in East Africa.
Oh wow.
So Ashley, I love this. I name my cars women's names too. Ashley has been all over the world.
Oh man.
Ashley has been to Jamaica. Hell yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Heck yeah. It wasn't Kingston. It was I've been to Kingston, but it was not Ocho Rios. I've been there, but that was I forget which part. I went to another part of it that's well known.
Montego Bay? That's where everyone else goes. If it's not Kingston or like the other parts.
Because I've been there a couple of times. But anyway, Ashley has been to Jamaica. I love this. I don't know why I love it, but something about it feels really cool. Like, I love it. I mean, it's like, have you seen Ashley? My bag. Ashley, have you seen it? Shoot. I see my I have,
She's had the time.
my car is from 2000. I'm waiting for it to turn to be a classic. I'm hoping it's going to be worth a lot of money. Otherwise, I would have named
Oh,
it Ashley, but I named it Mystery.
yeah.
So yeah, I love. So you have brothers and sisters, Ashley?
Yeah, I have 3 older sisters, a little sister, and an older brother.
So your mother was not a track star because he clearly got caught by your father over and over and over.
Well, no, my siblings have different. I have different. Me and my little sister the only one that have the same dad.
So how old is your little sister?
She is 16.
All right, so
We're
okay,
2
so
years apart.
you guys are somewhat close in age. And how old is the
Yeah.
next oldest sister?
My oldest one is 33, 34.
And then the one closest to you.
The one that's closest to me, she's 32.
Oh my God.
Wait, no,
the big gap.
31. Yeah.
Wow, there's a big gap. So and this
But
is
my
the
brother,
same mother?
my
or
brother
same
is the one
father?
that's closest to me. He's 28. He turns 28 in like 2 days.
So they're all the same mother or all the same father?
All the same mother.
Oh my God. Your mom
Yeah.
baby has a 33-year-old baby. I hope that she was a teenager. And then she waited and waited and waited and waited. Oh my God, your poor mom. She must be tired as all giddy up, man.
Yeah, she works. Mom's been working for God knows how long.
Oh my Lord. So the reason I asked that is because I also study birth order. So you're like a firstborn, and if you look at your hand, your heart line goes up between these 2 fingers here, and that's because when like your little sister line would be down here because they measured by 5 years. So since your oldest, and it's by gender, so your next oldest sister is 9 years older than you. So
Yeah.
she is more like your younger sister than you. So she is the baby because she's got the 28, the 32, and the 33-year-old. So they're all within 5 years.
Yeah.
And your brother's like an only child. He's like, I don't know you people. You know,
Yeah.
I hope you guys have more than one bathroom in the house. It's like,
Oh no, they don't all live with me. It's just me and my little sister.
oh, okay.
Yeah. That would have been a tragedy because all of us.
And I can't imagine.
I couldn't deal. I would run away. I get tired of them real quickly.
You would run away? Okay, Ashley,
Yes.
don't be running away at like 18 years old. She's all grown now. I'm leaving. I'm going to go become wealthy like all the other Scorpios.
Yup.
I don't have a problem with you getting wealthy. Do you know what you want to do?
Really, I'm still undecided, but this Into the Business class is very beneficial because I do want to get into business. I was thinking more entrepreneur, but I'm still shaky about it.
Well,
I'm
that's
not
the
sure.
end of the class. So after we finish marketing, the last chapters are going to cover things like entrepreneurship and small business.
Okay.
Yeah, and talk to me if you're interested in that because, for instance, the Small Business Administration, which is free to use except for some of the legal services, there are offices at Baruch, Columbia, and Pace. So you could literally go to workshops and stuff. You could even start doing some on Zoom and virtually. They teach you how to set up a business plan, how to do marketing for, depends if it's a service or a product or something like that, how you do manufacturing. If you wanted to do food, you probably you would try it first in your kitchen, but then you would use a professional kitchen. Like most of the the food vans that prepare all the food beforehand, use professional kitchens. There's one in Queens and one in Brooklyn where everybody goes into the same building and then rents out the stove and then they prepare it and then put it on their truck and move forward. That way they don't have to open up an entire building with the stoves and stuff. So depending on the area of business, I mean, you may want to do
hair
or you would do hair. So you want to do the service. Well, the big thing that most people, especially women, understand is better than men is that I had a student actually over the summer who does it. She's Dominican, and she and her partner own several buildings, and then she rents the space out for grocery stores and stuff. She picks businesses that are going to be there for a long time. Well, a hair salon is the same thing. You hire people to rent out the chair. Now,
My mom was telling me the same thing.
yeah, most men don't understand that. Most women do because they talk more than men do. But
Yeah.
that way, you're not responsible for making sure customers are coming in, but the
Mhm.
people who rent the chair are, so that every month you may say, look, you got to give me $1,000 a month for this chair. And if you have
Yeah.
4 chairs, it's $4,000 or whatever. And then the other thing is you can figure out whether it's the Bronx or Brooklyn, Manhattan, or another city in another state, etc. The federal government does surveys on how much businesses make and how much it costs.
Okay.
So let's say you were in the Bronx and there's like 5 hair salons within a 5-mile radius. They're all going to be approximately the same cost and same revenue. Well, if you're going to open a place and your costs are much higher and your revenues are much lower, you won't know it unless you can compare it. And so the government provides statistics and information, and there's also agencies that focus on that, like where people say, well, I want to know what the latest products are, where the shows are, all this kind of stuff. You can get that kind of information. And that way, when you go in, it says, look, the rent's going to be this, the utilities are going to be this, like you're going to use a lot of water, obviously, and electricity. And so overall, here's what the costs are based on what the analyst reports, what the research shows, what the government surveys show. And generally, here's how much money they make. So for instance, on average in Manhattan, businesses, they usually have those like gunshot stores. They all look exactly the same. They make about $2.5–3 million a year, and they know what the cost and how much profit typically. Dog walkers, they know that too. So when you go in, you're not blind. So you kind of have an idea, here's what my costs should be within, and here's what my revenue should be within. And based on the number of chairs, I have to charge a minimum of this per chair. Because what happens if you do it and you don't know what you're doing? Someone comes in and say, oh yeah, sure, I'll give you $800 a month. And you're like, that seems like a good number. And then you find out that based on 5 chairs, you're losing $1,000 a month and you're not even aware of it. And you're like, why?
And then you're short.
And on top of that, you're like, why can't I compete with these other stores that run these marketing, like maybe, they go into places, whatever, that's right. And so, yeah, and this way, kind of where it's at. And then the other thing you want to do is figure out, how am I different than someone else and what am I going to do that? Like maybe you say, I'm going to hire one person that goes into senior citizens places and I'm going to get the contract. I'm going to have an exclusive contract on all these women in these places, and I'm going to send a person in there, and they do this stuff every week. And so, instead of $1,000 a month sitting in a chair, I may say, I need $500 from you, or $800, or whatever, because you're not taking a chair, but you're bringing businesses I wouldn't normally get. And my job is I secured the contract, and you're the only person, or maybe I have 2, because what happens if one gets hurt? You still have to have someone in. So I have 2 people that go into the senior citizen place. I land the contract. I've got exclusivity with this contract. No one else can compete. I'm going to take less money per month, but this is money that normally I wouldn't get. It doesn't take over my chairs. It doesn't use my facilities. It's their water, their chair, and I just have the person go in, and that person makes more money, but they have to put more effort in because they have to travel over to this senior citizens place. Right?
I might get half that profit then.
And then, no, you get everything, but they get a lot more money, but you get guaranteed income. So if I have 2 people in there and each one gives me like, say $700 a piece, but they get all the customers, you get $1,400 there. And then it's like, I make more money than if I'm in the store. I have a guaranteed customer because we're contracted. I've charged a little less money because they're fixed income, but I have all of them. All these customers to that person who's working for you. Yeah. And I don't think most businesses like that think like that, because they typically do things the same way again and again. And then I have a student who was from Nigeria who started a business, and he became a millionaire before 30. He got married, had a baby. He started in social media, and now he builds planes and teaches people to fly. He's from Nigeria. And one of the postings, he says, you got to work like an immigrant, because immigrants don't have expectations of what they're supposed to do. They just go out there and bust their butts and do what they got to do.
Yeah.
And that means they think outside the box. And a lot of people in the States who grew up here or from here, who feel peer pressure about how they're supposed to do things, don't think outside the box, and you could. So you find out
And they
what,
expect everything to come to them too.
well, that entitlement thing. But see, you're not millennial, you're Gen Z, and Gen Z tends to be a lot more pragmatic. It's like, look, just show me how to make the money, and et cetera, you know. So you figure out what they do and get a handle on that, and then you say, but I'm also going to do this, which nobody thought about. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, my grandfather used to own a business that supplied hair salons, and he did really, really well. So, you know,
Like a venue.
say it again.
Like a venue.
He was distribution. So he
Oh,
would have
gotcha,
all the
gotcha.
products in his factory, and then he would have some vans, and he would drive to the salons and supply them with their products. So he was the middleman. So whoever produced it wanted to sell in the area, and he says, "Okay, I'll take all the product and I'll distribute it to all these places. But because I have all these places, I want you to give me a better price, because instead of selling onesie twosies, I'm selling many. So you have to cut me a discount on this, and then I'm going to sell it at the same price, but I'm going to create a relationship with these people, so I know what they want when they need, like maybe coloring or irons or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we can talk about it. So as you get throughout the semester, what I want you to do is I want you to start working on your business plan, and I want you to also figure out I want you to also come up with a marketing strategy. In other words, what am I going to do? I'm going to do what other people do. I'm going to know their costs, know their revenues. I'm going to get someone to help me find a location that's perfect for me based on lots of foot traffic. And then what am I going to do that nobody else is doing that's going to set me apart, make me different? And you're going to be probably competing against people who are a lot older than you. And
of course,
good and bad, because the good part is they're established, so you don't want to be in their neighborhood because they've already got that. But the bad part is they're afraid to change, and they don't like to change, and you know, they're going to treat young people your age differently than the way you would treat them. Now, the good thing for them is people are going to probably show older person more respect than you, because you're young and different and new. They're like,
but that shouldn't. I feel like that shouldn't like matter.
See, you're being a Scorpio now, so I understand what you're saying. I'm talking about reality, and you're talking about what's right and wrong. And unfortunately, sometimes right and wrong are not in the same place. Eventually, they're going to learn to respect you, because they're like, oh, this is what she brings. It's different than these other people.
Yeah.
For that reason, I need to give her more respect. But nobody's respected on the first day out, and the expectation should be, I've got to earn that.
Yeah.
Because they're paying you money. They're paying you money. They're your customers.
That's true.
But you got to draw a line in the sand. If you don't know what so line is until you survey the other companies. It's like, well, you know, they do this for me. They do this, and then you find out that's all a lie. So it's kind of like what's normally expected. You say, like, I never understood women's salons where you go in and you wait 8 hours until they finally take you. I'm like, I'm not going there. And then I find that that's just normal. I'm like, you know, I'm not going there. But so, like, I don't know your business, but you know, you've got to understand what's normally expected so that nobody takes advantage of you.
Of course.
Yeah. And at the same time that you don't give enough service where they say, no, she doesn't give us the full service like the others do. I'm going to go back to the other one. So you got to know, where's that line?
Yeah.
So yeah, like you're comfortable with social media. Like I went to see, she's only 23. I saw Samara Joy, who is only 23. She just graduated from SUNY, and she already won two Oscars, and she sings jazz. And when she was on stage, she says, oh yeah, I love social media, so feel free to take pictures and videos and stuff, and I'll meet you in the hall. That's not going to last.
Oh wow.
Anyway, it sounds like you're getting on the train, so I'm going to let you do your thing.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk more.
All right.
All right, thank you so much.
Be well. Take care.